On this week's show, Peloton shares their plans for future class purges.
And may the 4th be with you as Star Wars comes to the platform, and much, much more.
Welcome to Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. Here are your hosts, Amanda Siegel and John Mills.
Welcome to episode 126 of Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. I'm Amanda Siegel, and I am thrilled to bring back our celebrity co-host, John Mills. Hey, John.
Hey, Amanda. It's always fun. Thank you for having me back.
I love it. I love it. I got so excited when John Pruitt told me he was going to be out of town. I'm like, yes, I get John Mills back. I'm telling you, now that I've watched your videos that you shared with me last time, I feel like I'm chatting to celebrity here. I mean, seriously.
I feel the same way when I'm here with you. So,
you're a sweetheart.
And fun, they just have offered a lot of interesting opportunities for me in the past. And so,
that's awesome.
We all love them. So.
I know, it's true. It's true. But there's a lot of chatter these days, John, how things have changed. And it's not the same. It's like, I'm telling you, that royal treatment has definitely dissipated for many, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, not the
but
same
it's still
anymore.
our world. No, but it's still our world. It's still our world, and it keeps us happy and it keeps us healthy. And if we can share what's happening in the Peloton world, it's always fun to do. It's just what we do. And we hope that those that take the time to listen enjoy it. And that's all that it's about, right?
That's right. It's about enjoying it, exercise, and fun. For me, it's just a release. So I love it. I enjoy it, and so I love talking and being around people that share the same mentality. So it's all
100%. I mean, I said this time and time again. Never in my wildest dreams would I have anticipated that in my 50s I would be, upset that I wasn't able to work out and frustrated that I couldn't do what I was doing, 2 or 3 years ago. So may that always be how it is. Otherwise, you're doing well, and Eric is good, and everybody's good.
Yes, everyone is good. Lots of stuff happening, all good stuff. So, nothing to complain about. Life is good these days.
Good. Well, you know what? That's always good to hear, because there is so much going on out there in the world that if our kids are happy and healthy and we're happy and healthy, that's all that really matters. Truthfully, I do. I wake up every day grateful and blessed for what I have around me. So, and I know you feel the same way. So
absolutely feel the same way. Yeah. And all is good with you?
All is good with me. Thank goodness. I am, it's tough, John. It's tough to get back into a routine after being off the platform for 5 months, getting motivated and feeling and still not being able to, get back to that, potential that I was at, is definitely frustrating. So, I have my good days and my bad days, but you know what? I continue to plod along and do what I can and make sure that I get that blue dot, whether it be a meditation or a yoga practice or a walk. I'm doing something until I'm back to normal. And I'm hoping that, as we hit the summer, I'll get back to that, full potential of really pushing myself. So I'm very hard on myself, though. Unfortunately, I think that is how we are. We're hard on ourselves.
That's right.
It's frustrating. Anyway, well, folks, before we get started with the news, we always do like to remind you how you can keep up to date with all of our content across all of our platforms. Every episode is released on our YouTube channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand side of this video and hit the notify button to make sure that you never miss an episode. And if you prefer to listen to us on the move, every show is also available in on all podcasts. So make sure that you search Pelo Buddy and hit subscribe again so that you never miss an episode. And of course, finally, we are on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever Chris Lewis can get his hands on, we're there so that you are constantly kept informed. But what we like to do on the show is kind of wrap it all together in a nice big bow and present it to you in an hour-long show. And that's what you are here for. So with that said, John, let's get on with the show.
Let's go.
First, let's do a rundown of the latest Pelo news.
All right. So first up was a quick add-in that we had, and that is that Peloton has now implemented a standardized process for class purges. So in the past, we kind of never really knew when the classes were going to be purged on the, on the leaderboard. Not on the leaderboard, on the platform. But now they have come out, and Chris did get to chat with them to get a little bit more understanding as to how they were going to be doing this. So from what we understand, the process for the periodic removal of classes from the on-demand library, otherwise known as class purges, will happen a little bit more frequently and a little bit more structured. So this is what folks should expect in the future. Moving forward, Peloton will refer to this process as class library maintenance. I mean, very fancy now. We have a title for these purges. And the majority of the removals will occur on Fridays. So not necessarily every Friday, but they will happen on Friday, with the first library maintenance happening just this past Friday, the 28th. So in the past, it had been a randomly timed process that Peloton had done, and they had typically been months apart. They occurred more sporadically than typically resulted in approximately 10 to 20% of instructors' libraries being removed. And that definitely frustrated a lot of members who like to kind of go back to specific classes. So this new way is a better way that they feel of being able to kind of keep it in a nice format for members to know what they can expect. Let's see what else they say.
I think it's actually, in the past when it was more random and it wasn't a prepared thing, and there would be a lot of angst around it, of course, because people have their favorite classes and all of a sudden they're not there. It makes you wonder if now that it's more kind of a standardized kind of thing that's regularly happening, maybe it won't be as much of that, right? Not as much noise and a little more comfort in it. Everyone will just kind of grow to expect it, and it'll just be a normal thing.
Yeah, well, what I love about this, John, truthfully, is that that they liaised with Chris so that we could kind of give folks this information in a way that they'd like to hear it as well. So that's something that we're appreciating Peloton are now doing with Pelo Buddy in giving us that opportunity to know what to expect. So that's huge. What they had said to Chris is that, like any media company, their production and processes improve over time. So that they, are releasing fresh content every day, which is probably recorded in a better manner, sound, all that type of thing that is being advanced, in the 5 years, 6 years, 7 years that, the program has been around. Just like Netflix and, other companies, they are implementing more processes around the removals, as they can't retain all of the content forever. And that makes sense. It just makes sense. We all get frustrated because there are certainly classes that we love and we love to go back to. But I think it is understandable with the amount of content that there's on there. And remember, it's no longer just a bike. It's no longer just cycling classes. You've got your strength classes. You've got your tread classes. You've got your boot camp classes. You've got your meditation. You've got your yoga. You've got, your row. There's so much out there and so much content that it doesn't there is just no way that it's feasible for them to, to keep all of that on there. So, they did say though, John, I did want to just say this. They did say though that if there is a class that is extremely popular or part of a program, that it's more likely to remain on the library. So, if there are definitely classes that more people are going to like, Emma Lovewell's Crush Your Core. There's a core class that she goes, folks have done over 1 million workouts in that class.
Right.
I know Hannah Corbin was looking at pushing one of her bar classes, which was hitting, probably has hit 1 million, 1 million times already. Leanne Hainsby has a warm-up, a warm-up ride that folks go to, I think it's a Whitney Houston ride, if I'm not mistaken. So those they will keep, they will try and keep on the library or in the library. Worth noting that it's not an algorithm that determines which classes are to be removed. Members of the Peloton content team are tasked with reviewing the classes and determining which ones should be removed. So this means that there will be exceptions, as I've just said, and allowances for classes that are relatively old but remain popular. And one that somebody actually had mentioned on Chris's post when he posted it last week was about the Greatest Showman ride. That's Robin Arzon's ride that folks love. It was recorded back in 2018. And, folks said, please don't get rid of that one.
I love all of that. I mean, I love that they work with Chris in kind of communicating this. That's awesome. Why? Because, Pelo Buddy and these outlets are they're like a proxy to the community, right? They're a way that they learn and consume information about Peloton. I think that is awesome that they worked with them for that.
Yeah, amazing.
And then it makes sense too, right? Because as the classes and how they look are like the face of the product when you're using it. And so as, like you said, like the studio evolves or their technology evolves or how they're presenting evolves, they want it to continue to progress and look this new way. So I get it, there's going to be purges. And so they're doing it in a structured way. I mean, it makes sense.
Makes sense, for sure. Yeah. I agree. No, I like this a lot. I mean, it definitely, and I'm, happy that we're able to, present this and report this back to the community so that they're prepared. So yeah. All right. Well, the Peloton Strength Row and Tread community went into a flat spin last week, John, when all of a sudden, Adrian Williams's live classes disappeared from the schedule. Right. What happened to our beloved coach? Was Adrian leaving? Was everybody's question of the day. What was going on? Well, it turns out that Adrian is taking some time off from teaching classes at Peloton to recover from surgery for a bone spur in his elbow. But don't fret, he will be back. So Adrian shared the news via a video he posted on social media, on Instagram, saying, "I appreciate the love. I'm well, just healing. Taking a moment, but don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. Don't skip out on your work, on your wellness. There is plenty on demand when it comes to boot camps, strength, rowing, and running." Adrian went on to share that he had a bone spur in his elbow from an injury back in 2018. And about 2 months ago in February, he woke up to his arm being locked in a 90-degree angle. He went and saw his physical therapist who got his arm moving and mobile again, but it still didn't feel 100%. So he went off, got an MRI, and it did come back with some floaties and bone growth. So he had two choices. He could continue to teach, but he would be limited in what he could do and have a limited range of motion, or he could opt to have it taken care of via surgery, which is what he ended up doing. He did say that for him, there was no point in doing anything, especially in his job and how he likes to train at 50 or 60%. So
Right.
while Adrian hasn't said how long he will be off the platform, he did say, though, that he would keep everyone updated in his healing progress, and for folks not to forget how much there was on demand on the platform. So from us here and one of Adrian's biggest fans, we wish him well and just hope that he does take care of himself. And as somebody who is, on the other side of an injury and having to listen to my body and being off the platform, I can only imagine what it must be like for one of the instructors when they are injured. This is their life. This is their livelihood and their jobs. This for me was just a hobby and something fun to do. So I totally get it. But we wish Adrian well and just pray that he heals well and takes the time that he needs, because we will all be waiting for him when he returns.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure there were a lot of people a little concerned when they saw the schedule change. There are a lot of big fans of Adrian. So, yeah, we wish him full recovery. And I think I agree completely with you. I mean, this is his livelihood. And I can imagine trying to deal with an injury and you're on camera. Like,
right.
That just sounds like, not a comfortable thing to be doing. So I'm glad he's taking care of it. And we look forward to him coming back.
For sure.
All right. So next story, Peloton will celebrate a new holiday this year. On May the 4th, there will be several Star Wars Peloton classes in honor of May the 4th Day, an informal Star Wars day to celebrate the movie Star Wars. For those not familiar with the holiday, May the 4th is a play on May the Force Be With You from the movie. The Star Wars class schedule will include a 30-minute ride with Sam Yo on May 4th at 2 a.m. Eastern, a 30-minute run with Tobias Haynes on May 4th at 4 a.m. Eastern, a 30-minute ride with Charlotte Wedenbach on May 4th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. For a number of years, Sam Yo has lobbied for this series to happen. Last week, he shared on his IG account a letter he wrote to Disney proposing the ride series. And in addition to sharing the letter, Sam mentioned that the path to creating this ride took more than 2 years. And he said, in having this kind of come to fruition, he said, "I am over the moon that this 2-year journey is coming to you soon, wherever you are in the galaxy." So
I love it.
Sam also did a recent interview with Gizmodo where he talked about how the music will cover the entire Star Wars universe and the various versions of the movie. The article states Yo was able to tell the story to Disney because he made his dream playlist a year and a half ago, way before it was ever approved. He admits it's gone through a few changes here and there, but for the most part, he thinks in 30 minutes he hit every big theme or piece of music he wanted to play, along with the winks and nods to other parts of the Star Wars trilogy. So yeah, he's clearly a huge fan and has been invested in getting this to the platform. And so because of his excitement about it, like now I want to take the class, right?
Right.
I never really was much of a big Star Wars fan, but you could just feel his energy, like reading the posts and the Gizmodo articles. So now I want to check them out.
Yeah. I mean, he walks around the studio in his Star Wars slippers, at PSL, and he's definitely lobbied for this for some time. So no question, and good for him for making it happen, and having it come to fruition. I mean, how brilliant. How brilliant.
Right.
Yeah,
you imagine years ago, he's like lobbying for this thing and he's hitting up Disney. I mean, wow, that's amazing.
I know. Good for Sam. All right. Well, Ben Alldis has been very busy lately. Peloton just released a new strength and cardio series called Total Body 20. The classes which are being given by Ben are all 20 minutes long, and the workouts incorporate both muscle training and interval exercises which help build a stronger body while one feels the burn of the hit pushes. The first class in the series dropped on Monday, April the 24th. And Ben shared his philosophy behind the classes, saying, with this new Guide Ready Strength series, I will maximize your time on the mat, helping you build muscle, hit cardio goals, and get you feeling fitter and stronger than ever. I'm excited for people to take this series because I can't wait for them to see the huge benefits of combining both strength and cardio within one 20-minute workout. He goes on to say, I think people are going to be surprised at the progress they can make with consistency and this incredible way to train. Now, although Ben mentions the classes are guide ready, they will be available for all members to take and won't be restricted for the 7 weeks like the other guide only programs are. So if you are into strength and you want to go ahead and get that amazing all body workout, this is a great opportunity for folks to, jump on the bandwagon.
Yes, that sounds pretty good. I actually love that he explained, he talks through the reasoning and what you're going to get out of this. I love that. That's intriguing when I hear stuff like that.
Yeah, Ben, I think, is and what I love about Ben is how community driven he is. So I think everything that Ben Alldis does is absolutely focused towards how it is going to make the community engaged, how he can engage the community. He started right from the beginning when he when he got onto that strength platform. He was like that with riding too, but I've seen him really focus to an nth degree with strength. And it has turned so many folks that never even wanted to try strength to now doing strength classes. So huge kudos to Ben on, putting this together, and to Peloton for accelerating it, to this new program. Really like that.
And everything you just said, I don't know Ben. I've met him once or twice, and it was a few years ago at a 5K. But the energy I got from him, it sounds like what you just described. Like you could kind of feel that in just talking to him, that would be his energy, and that's how he would go forward with something like this. So that's interesting to hear that. That's kind of what I got from him. Yeah.
And the best part about it all, John, is that he is a complete music buff. He was a DJ, before, so he loves his music. And he actually did say, he goes, and you can be guaranteed that every class is going to be filled with, bangers and belters, is the term that he likes to use. So not only are you getting the workout, but you're also getting the ability to enjoy yourself with cool music that he truly puts everything into. And I have also been really fortunate to work out with Ben, to meet Ben, to chat with him. He is just a really smart guy. And it absolutely blows my mind as to how young he is. John, he just turned 30. Yeah. He just turned 30. When he started on this platform, he was 25.
Right.
It blows my mind to think how young. I have almost 27-year-olds. So for me to think what a mature, responsible adult, man he is just amazing. So I'm a huge advocate for Ben and what he brings to the platform. So this is fantastic.
I think about that sometimes with many of the instructors, because I'm in my 50s, and I'll think about where was my head in my 20s, and I don't know, they seem to be in a much more structured place, let's just say, than I was in my 20s.
It's pretty impressive. It is. It's impressive. It really is impressive. So kudos to Ben. All right, tell us what's next.
Well, Peloton's next artist series will feature the music of hip-hop legend Tupac Shakur. Peloton officially announced the series via Instagram. The series will launch on Thursday, April 27th, and will include 6 classes across 6 modalities. The classes will be a 30-minute full body strength with Adrian Williams on April 27th at 10 a.m. Eastern, a 20-minute shadow boxing with Kendall Toole, April 27th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, a 30-minute full-body yoga flow with Chelsea Jackson Roberts on April 27th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, a 30-minute walk with Marcel Dinkins on April 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern, a 30-minute ride with Tunde Oyeneyin on April 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern, and finally a 20-minute row with Ash Pryor on April 27th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Now, we talked earlier about how Adrian Williams recently shared that he's recovering from surgery in the bone spurs, and will be taking some time off the schedule. However, his class is a pre-recorded on-demand drop and was likely filmed a couple of weeks prior, so no worries, that class did drop. And members will receive an Artist Series badge for completing any of the Tupac classes as well. So I'm sure that's a highly anticipated thing.
Exactly. I know that this was, a huge artist that folks were waiting for. And, with the 50-year celebration, as you said, it's great to bring this hip hop genre to the platform, and, members love it. So that's a fun series. Series.
Yes, it'll be exciting.
We'll talk about it next week, but we know that there are some really fun series dropping in May. So we had a lot to talk about this week, so we'll save it for next week. But there are some really fun, cool series that are going to be dropping in May. So we'll share that with you folks next week. So make sure that you tune in to listen and find out what they are. Anyway, anyone pay attention to the music used in so many of the meditation classes? Riopy's music is what you'll hear a lot. And this Monday, May 1st, Aditi will be doing a 10-minute meditation dedicated to the music of Riopy. And I'm really excited, as it will be my 1,500th meditation on the platform. And I will be doing it with Aditi. So I actually have, it's funny because when I go back and listen, when I go back and re-listen or hear the music or look at what, the playlist is, if I've really liked something, I have noticed, that artist, and then know that Aditi recently had met him. I believe he may have even been at the Instructor Summit, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong about that, but I know he was in the studio recently, and she got to meet him, and it was really cool. So that's something to look forward to for folks that enjoy meditation. And then for those that have enjoyed the new Yin Yoga classes, there was the first live class held on Wednesday, April the 26th, also with Aditi. It was a 20-minute class, and it was at 12:35 p.m. So if you missed it last week, then just find it on demand. And we're hoping to see more of them coming up live, but it's nice to see this Yin Yoga as an additional practice incorporated into the yoga schedule. So I have not tried that yet. I'm still in my beginner and intermediate phase of yoga. Oh my goodness. And having not worked out for 5 months, I am so stiff again and trying to get my body back to where it was. I did a meditation. I did my 200th meditation. It's actually in my pick of the week with Mariana this past week. And oh my God, my body was like, oh, Amanda, where have you been? Like, we need to get your body back. And everything hurt the next day. And who would have thought that would happen? So I'm looking forward to incorporating this Yin Yoga, a practice that I have never done before. So folks, make sure you check those out on the schedule.
I have a love-hate relationship with yoga. I know I need to do it. It always helps me, but I'm always in pain.
I have to say, John, I incorporated it into my, having really just loved the yoga instructors and have such a lovely rapport with a few of them. I have incorporated it into my workout schedule, and it is fantastic. And I encourage folks, especially those, especially with Mariana being such a huge, you and I spoke about it when you were on the show with me last time, being such a huge advocate for incorporating it into a running routine, or even a cycling routine. It does make a difference. It does, especially for us, 50-year-olds where everything's creaking and whatever. It's glorified stretching. It's just it's a great way to stretch and do it properly. So a huge for folks to do that.
And congrats on the upcoming milestone.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to that. I love my practice, so I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, so Cody Rigsby has a new boy band class. The class is from April 20th at 10 a.m. Eastern. It's a 20-minute pop ride that includes songs from the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Boys to Men, O-Town, New Kids on the Block, and One Direction. So if you are a fan of the boy bands and that's something that interests you, you go out there and check it out. It's out there on demand. I know there are a few of those groups in there that I don't commonly admit I'm a fan of, but I actually am. I just don't normally tell people, but
the secret is safe. The secret for the 2,000 or so that listen to the show, we'll keep it secret. I promise you.
Because normally I'm not singing the songs unless I'm in my car by myself and then I'm singing all these songs. But so I'll probably take the classes.
That's awesome.
But I thought I think that a lot of people will. I think that I'm probably not unusual. There's probably a lot of people that like a lot of these groups. So I expect that there'll be a lot of folks.
Exactly. Well, rumors, John. It's official. Tunde will not be teaching tread classes. She made it very clear in the pre-show of a recent cycling class saying, I am so excited to announce that I am not teaching tread. Why would I do that to us? Isn't that what we do together? Isn't what we do together enough already? Let me just have running be a hobby. And as we all know, Tunde was recently announced as a full strength instructor, teaching full body, lower body, upper body, and core. And that together with her cycling classes is more than enough for this powerful, strong woman. Right. However, as we have mentioned in the show already, and I do believe it was the show that you and I did together last, we do expect a new tread instructor in the future. The amazing Mariana Fernandez is rumored to be teaching tread classes soon, and we are waiting with bated breath. But leave Tunde alone. She runs for fun. She does not want to teach tread classes.
The way she actually, announced that she's not, as you hear the announcement, you really did think she was going to say she was going to. But she's a character. Yes. They do so much. They've got all these side hustles and then they're doing all these classes. It's funny because I'll just take one class and get one little crank in my shoulder. And then I'm I'm off the bike for the next, 5 days.
And they're doing
working
everything.
Out every day. Right.
I know. And they're hustling and it's just, it's amazing. So, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's good stuff. Okay, on April 24th at 5 p.m. Eastern, the Peloton Apparel site restocked the Jess Sims Saturday 60 collection. The drop was pre-announced on the Peloton Apparel Instagram account the day prior. While some items are now sold out, there are selections that are still left. So if you're interested in picking up one of the Saturday 60 apparel items, get out there and check it out before they're all gone. I didn't pick up anything with the first round, but this time I did. So I was glad to see that come back. And I'll be at the studio this coming weekend, and hopefully I'll get to see Jess Sims, and I'll have my apparel on, so it'll be good.
Sounds good. I think I heard that something was just canceled. Was it her Saturday 60s? I just saw somebody post something. Wait, let me take a look and see if I can find that. It's her advanced boot camp. Got it. Okay. So I know that something was canceled this past weekend. That folks were posting about. So good. I'm glad it's not that. All right. Well, we had mentioned last week that Peloton had sent out invite only invite-only classes for Spanish-speaking members who have never been to the studio before. Well, there is also an opportunity for folks in the Spanish-speaking community to get to meet the Spanish instructors. Peloton hosted a meet and greet with Mariana, Rad, and Camilla on Saturday the 29th from 3 to 5 p.m. in the plaza level of the studio. So members got to enjoy food, beverages, music, and games, and got to meet them, chat with them, and have photo ops. So that would have been really fun. And I'm so glad that they're highlighting them more and more. And they're giving those folks in the Spanish-speaking community an opportunity to get more involved, with Mariana, Camilla, and Rad. And then switching gears, we also want to mention that the Bike Plus rental program has now expanded to Canada. So really switching gears. I mean, I went from one story to a completely different one. But those Canadians that have not yet bit the bullet and purchased a Peloton bike, you now have the opportunity to rent one and see if in fact you like the product. So customers in select Canadian provinces can rent the original Peloton bike for 129 Canadian dollars per month. They can rent the Bike Plus for 169 Canadian dollars per month. The monthly all-access subscription is in fact included in the monthly rate, although there is a one-time $250 setup fee for both the bike and the Bike Plus. So just another opportunity for folks to get to utilize the platform if they have not, felt comfortable actually purchasing. They can go ahead and rent it, or if you know that you're only going to be somewhere for a couple months and you want to just use it there, if you're moving or that type of thing, it's a nice way to be able to do that and get onto the platform. So make sure you look into that if you're in Canada.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome opportunity. Just another channel for people to, be able to get a bike. Yeah, I think that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. Peloton has announced the date and time of their Q3 2023 earnings call. In a press release on April 20th, Peloton shared that the call will take place on Thursday, May 4th at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. They will release their third quarter fiscal 2023 results just prior to the call taking place. They tend to do that, like they'll drop the PDF or the document so that you can kind of check it out before you listen to the actual call. Things that I'm interested in hearing about, like I'm really interested in hearing
Tell us.
About like they've been talking about getting back to like cash flow neutral, and we've been kind of anticipating that, and we know Barry McCarthy had done a lot of things to put us in position to be there. So now I'm hopeful that we'll hear about that. I also want to hear more about the Tread Plus. Is the Tread Plus coming back? Will they mention anything about that? And also about our connected fitness subscribers. Are they, turning? Are we starting with all these new avenues to get a bike? Are we kind of growing in our subscriber base? So a lot there I want to hear about. Oh, including homecoming. I'm wondering if we hear more mention of homecoming, right? So I'll be listening.
We had mentioned in the show before that they were talking about taking it kind of on the road, and whether we were going to see instructors kind of go out to different cities and countries to be able to meet members and not expect everybody to kind of make the trip out to New York. But yeah, John, I got to tell you, these earnings calls kind of have me sitting upright. The stock has been a disaster again, and took another dive. It kind of it's kind of the train that could. You see it like chug along, and you think it's going to kind of get the momentum, and then it just kind of crashes again.
Right.
So we saw a nice upswing a couple weeks ago, and it gotten to about $13 or $14, and it was back down to $8 this past week. So curious to hear what Barry has to say. I mean, it's been a good year now that he's been in the role. No, I'm trying to think when John Foley. Listen, I'm making you CEO of Peloton. I mean, listen to me.
I'll take it. I'll take the job.
You'll take it. You'll take it. All the days roll into one. So I'm trying to think when it was that John Foley stepped down. Do you remember?
I think it was early 2022, but I don't remember the exact date.
So it's been a good, 18 months or so that he's, yeah.
I think so, and I think there's a lot of good that he's done to kind of right this pattern that we just don't see it in the stock price.
Right.
And that's why I'm really interested to kind of hear that progress, even if we're not seeing it in the stock price. Are we still kind of trending as we have been, and as we heard in the last earnings call? So.
Correct. Correct. Well, we'll sit with bated breath and wait to hear. And you know that we'll bring it all to you here on the show. So we'll kind of give you the cliff notes and give you guys the opportunity to kind of get just the cliff notes to hear what's expected for the upcoming quarter. All right, John. Well, that wraps up the news portion of the show. We are going to go right into Instructor in the News, and I'm going to have you kick it off. Tell us about that beast. That beast we call Bex.
Oh my, yes. So, well, before I tell this story, I took a class with Bex early on when she first got to the platform, and we were in an interval runs, and she kind of forgot that we were supposed to slow down in the interval, and she remembered like a minute after, and she goes, "Well, we'll just keep going. We'll just keep this interval going." Right then, I knew. Wow, this is like, I don't know. She's a runner. She's really a runner.
I love that.
But yeah, I'll say on Monday, April 24th, both Bex Gentry and Matt Wilpers ran in the Brooklyn Half Marathon. And congrats to Bex Gentry. She finished first in her age group. And also, congrats to anyone, all of our Peloton community members. I know there were many of them that ran that day. And so just a big shout out. I'm a big fan, and I aspire to be a runner. And so anybody who's running any of these races, I think is just awesome. So congrats to everyone.
John, this was a tough weekend for me because I was actually scheduled to run the Shape Half, which was Sunday, the 30th. Wow. So I had gotten myself ready. I was excited. I wasn't talking about it. I figured I was just going to go and do it. Mariana was kind of ready to help me train. And of course, with the injury, I couldn't run. So yes, I am so in awe of anyone that is able to do this. I do hope that I can come back and do it at some point. I will never do it for the time. I will just do it to be able to say that I'm a 50-something-year-old that crossed the finish line. But it is something that I would love to be able to do down the road. So yes, I take my hat off to anybody that perseveres and works through it and does something like this. There are so many amazing, amazing people in this community that I've gotten to meet and get to know that have accomplished this. And it is wonderful to know that some of the instructors are so much there for them and do this as well. I mean, to think that Bex is, right off maternity leave, a small baby. And then John went in and taught 2 classes in the afternoon.
My goodness.
Can you imagine? So she ran the morning. She ran the morning and then went and did 2 classes in studio with members. I mean, she is just a beast. Hence her, her little group being called Bex Beasts, because she is clearly a beast. She is clearly a beast. All right. Well, we had mentioned a couple weeks ago that Maddie was up in Toronto and had popped past the Peloton store on Bloor Street for a chat and a meet and greet with some of the Canadian members. It actually turns out that that's not all Maddie was doing while he was up north. He actually sat down with a bunch of guys, 2 guys from the Gents Post podcast. So it is a newly formed podcast that comes out of Canada with 2 great guys. I do not remember their names right now, but I did tell them that I was giving them a shout out on the show today. So I hope that they get to listen. And it was an awesome, authentic chat about pretty much everything. And, John, what stuck out for me was Maddie's love and respect that he has for his parents. And he spoke about his dad in such a respectful and truly, humbling way. He's so much fun, and we see a fun Maddie on the tread and in the studio, and we see a side of him, and this was just a very different side of Maddie. And I did take the time to listen to the 1 hour podcast. It was fantastic. It probably was one of the best podcasts I've ever listened to. And maybe because I just adore Maddie, I think he is the most incredible human. But he was just amazing. So he, of course, spoke about Peloton. He shared his love of pop culture and spoke about his walk and talk, which I do religiously, and how much he loves those classes. He also spoke about how he has the motivation to get up and go to work each day, and how he has one of the coolest jobs in the world, and that he's a hustler. So it's pretty rare for him to not want to go. It's his own workouts that are sometimes challenging. Both guys that had interviewed him are very laid back and genuine. And Maddie was able to show his genuine, authentic self. So honestly, guys, if you're hearing this podcast and you want to take the time and listen to Maddie's, you can head over to pelobuddy.com. Chris will have a link in there on this podcast. But it truly was one of the best podcasts that I had heard, that I've heard. So take the time to listen to it.
Maddie's awesome. Maddie's one of my favorite people, and I saw a piece of that I completely aligned with. Like, he talked about how about his father, like you said, and how his father didn't have like that fear of showing emotion. And I grew up around a lot of people who they had that fear, right? While I was like this emotional person, right? And so like finding people that were okay and kind of validated, nothing's wrong with you, John. It's good. You're okay, right? It kind of resonated with me. So hearing him talk about his father in that way, I thought that was awesome. It aligned to why, probably who he is and why I've always loved him. So yeah, that was
right.
Great.
And I think, look, as a male, coming out and sharing with your parents that you're gay. I mean, he said he knew from kindergarten, that he was gay. So, and he waited until he was kind of in college. And the only reason he says that he really had to come out was that at NYU, he started a fraternity for gay men, and it really took off, and it got published in the New York Post, and he said, or the New York Times, excuse me. And he said that he knew that his parents were going to be reading it, or at least his father was going to be reading it, and that he had to quickly tell them that he was gay. And, it was hard for them to hear at first, but it just proves, that he comes from good stock, because they accepted who he was and clearly have been so unbelievably supportive of his path and his choice. And, that makes him who he is for all of us. And we are so grateful. And I'm sure he has helped hundreds, if not thousands on the platform of parents who are in similar situations, who don't know how to handle or react or be appropriate towards their kids who are coming out, who are sharing. And in today's world, it is not an easy thing to be able to do. There's still so much hatred out there and so much, what's the word I'm looking for? Animosity towards, one's own belief in what they want to do, that it's just amazing to hear. So, very passionate about him. And this was truly amazing. Yeah.
I'm with you there. He's a wonderful person. Absolutely. Okay. On Wednesday, April 26th, Jess Sims appeared on Good Morning America and was announced as GMA's newest contributor. She was introduced and welcomed by GMA personality Lara Spencer. Jess talked about how excited and honored she was to have this new role. She then introduced the story of Brian Westbrook, a former NFL player who wrote a children's book about not giving up. And Brian has now teamed up with a local bookstore called Children's Book World in an area just outside of Philadelphia to inspire the love of reading. He's also teamed up with Verizon to provide the local bookstore with business internet services and other technology support, allowing them to keep up with changing technology as a means to meet kids where they are today. So it was an amazing story and a wonderful opportunity for Jess. It was surprising for me, like I was watching GMA.
Oh, were you?
I commonly do, and I didn't expect that. It kind of shows up, and what, huh? It was that is wild. She is everywhere now.
Right? But she was so eloquent. She did such an amazing job on that story. I mean, I was so moved by the story. I had no idea that this had even happened as far as, the NFL player. And it was just an amazing story. And the way that she presented it and the way she reported on the story was fantastic. And to promote, a family-owned business, and especially today where bookstores, are becoming so redundant and, closing left, right, and center. It's amazing to see that there is still a place where kids can go, can find beautiful, books, that we all grew up with, and they're still there, and you can touch them and feel them. And it was wonderful to see. Wonderful
Absolutely.
to see. Yeah. So huge congrats to Jess on that. Very impressive. Very impressive. All right. Ben Alldis popped on Instagram sharing that Cody was in London also this past week, and he visited both Ben and Leanne at Alldis abode. So the Alddises have called their new home Alldis abode. And Ben went on to share his memory of this random American guy that dropped past the fitness studio that he and Leanne were teaching at now over 5 years ago, and asking if they wanted to grab a cup of coffee, as there was an opportunity that he wanted to chat to them about that was going to change their lives. And there is no question, obviously, that it has changed their life. He talks about the amazing roller coaster journey that they have had, and just thanks Cody, truly from the bottom of his heart for giving him and of course Leanne this opportunity. And I mean, look, it wasn't just an opportunity to become a Peloton instructor. Him and Leanne clearly, as everybody knows, fell in love and have this amazing, amazing relationship. And it is truly a fairy tale story that we just pray and hope go on forever. We can't wait to see a marriage, date. And I'm just so thrilled that they're both doing well. And yeah, it was a lovely story to get to see. So we were pleased that Ben shared that.
That's so awesome. I hear so many stories about, Cody and his introduction of instructors into the community. That's just, I guess that's his role. But, you hear that so often. That's awesome.
Right. Well, it's got to be strange, especially for these American, for the English. I mean, these Brits are, very prim and proper, and there's this like crazy flamboyant, gay man, telling them you got to come for coffee with me, and who is this person and what do they want from me? So we're so glad that they bit the bullet and that they ended up doing the interview or getting to have coffee with him, because they are definitely icons on the platform, and we are very grateful to Cody for finding them and sharing them with us as the community.
Absolutely.
So it is no secret how I feel about Ben and Leanne. So I love it.
They're both inspirational. They're both very
Absolutely.
inspirational stories.
Absolutely.
Okay, Olivia Amato was on the Hurdle podcast. She talks about how she was living an entirely different life working in finance. She knew she wasn't happy pursuing her 9-to-5, and so she left it to explore the New York fitness industry. And the rest is history. She also talks about what that transition was like for her. She gets candid about navigating COVID and what it was like to date her now husband during the pandemic, as well as where she sees herself going next in her career. I listened to a part of it. I didn't get to complete the interview, but what I love about a lot of the interviews with a lot of the instructors are that you can kind of feel their kind of a genuine comfort in just kind of sharing their story. I never feel like they're just kind of feed me anything. It's like really they feel like they've walked a path and they've learned something, and they're kind of sharing like what it was like and how they felt during that journey. So it was a very interesting interview for me. I've always loved Olivia. I probably am a little bit biased, but I was very, very intrigued. I enjoyed what I heard, and so if anyone hasn't checked it out, please check it out. The link is up on pelobuddy.com.
Awesome. Thanks, John. All right. And the very impressive Susie Chan was out in San Diego this past week preparing for, wait for it, John, a 2-day, 81-mile, 130-kilometer Badwater Sultan Sea Race. It fell this past weekend, so the 29th and 30th of April. And Susie is, we talk about Bex being a beast. I mean, Susie is just a queen. She is the queen of the road. I honestly am just in awe of her strength and her ability to complete these races and do it with such grace and fun. She definitely makes it fun. She shares it with the community. So I'm sure there's going to be tons on social media as she does it. And this is in preparation, John, for, wait for it, 130, I think it's 30 or 39. Control room, help me if I'm going to be wrong. What is her ultimate goal? I think it's 135. Yeah. So the ultimate race she's doing. So this is the training up to it. And it's going to be in the desert. It's going to be in the desert. In July in the desert. Yes. Thank you, control room.
Oh my goodness.
So, I mean, at least in San Diego, it's not humid and she can get to run. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be amazing. But this is ultimately in preparation for 135 miles in the desert in July. So
81 miles is in preparation for the 135 miles. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
And I'm worried. And I'm fretting about a 13.2 mile or 13.1 mile race that I was planning on doing. Okay. Shut up, Amanda, and get moving.
Oh my gosh. These instructors, I mean, this is incredible stuff. Oh my goodness.
John, and this is someone, I mean, I've spoken about Susie so much because I am in awe of her, but, this is a woman that in her, 30s had never run in her life. Oh. And her brother was doing a race and said, "You're coming to join me." She said she was a smoker. She was, a single mom. She, had never run before. And she took something and she said just being out there and completing that was something that she will, never be able to forget, and that feeling and how the endorphins just kept her going and she continued to do it. I'd love to know if her brother ever got to do as many races as she's done. But she is just a force to be reckoned with. So huge shout out to Susie on that.
Big shout out. Incredible.
And last up?
Yeah. This week, People magazine had an article on Emma Lovewell. She talks about how she started as a dancer and how she eventually answered a Craigslist ad to pose for a personal trainer's website, which essentially launched her into the modeling world. This would eventually take her towards becoming a Wilhelmina model, which is how she got her first experience with Peloton. In 2012, she was part of a shoot for a Kickstarter commercial for this small startup company called Peloton. And years later, she says she was asked by a friend, years later after that, the friend called her and asked, "Emma, so I've been teaching cycling classes at this studio. They're looking for new people. And by the way, they offer health insurance." So I guess that was enough for her, and said the rest is history. She also talks about her new book, Live, Learn, Love Well, Lessons from a Life of Progress, Not Perfection. One of the key points in her book is that simple concept that success is not linear. She says in this article that there are a lot of interesting ups and downs, and she thinks that some things that people might relate to in the book revolve around that. I believe the book drops on Monday.
It does. It does. And I'm going to be there.
Oh, yes. I know there are a lot of people that have talked about they were going to be there. I wish I could, but yeah.
I'm really excited. I mentioned it on the show last week, but I am going to drive up. Yep, I'm driving up to New York on Monday so that I can get to be at the launch. I'm going with a good friend of mine, my friend Tracy McCann. So yeah, if anybody's listening to the show and you're going to be there, make sure you come and say hi. I would love to get to meet folks and get to see folks. But I'm really excited to get to hear what Emma has to say, and it should be a fun evening. So yeah. So
you have to let us know how that was. Oh, I'm so jealous.
I will. I'm really excited. It's kind of my first, it's the first opportunity I've had. When Tunde was in Virginia, I was down in Miami, so I couldn't go and get to see her when she launched Speak. And I haven't really been, there's been no opportunity for me to go to something like this. So this came out, and I said, hey, why not? Tracy, said, I have an extra ticket. Would you like it? I'm like, yeah, I'm coming. So I'm looking forward to doing that. So
that's cool. That's so awesome.
Yeah,
cool.
Awesome. All right, John. Well, let's go straight into picks of the week, and I will kick it off with Jocelyn Thompson Rule. She had her 20-minute Eid al-Fitr walk in celebration of the holiday, the end of Ramadan and the fast. And Tunde Holmes had recommended this one as their pick of the week. They said, so great to have some Eid content on the platform. I learned some things about the festival. The playlist was incredible, and it was just the perfect, lovely weekend walk. And that dropped on the 20th. So April 20th, it was a 2 a.m. Eastern class. And then Cody Rigsby's 20-minute pop ride. That was from the 21st at 10 a.m. Eastern. This one was recommended by Doc Brown Hair and Amajar 3. They said, great playlist, a new boy band's ride. So I guess that was the ride that you were talking about.
Yes.
So that's awesome. That's awesome.
And then we also have Anna Greenberg's 10-minute meditation for anxiety, and that dropped on April 21st at 10 a.m. Eastern time. This recommendation came from Amajar 3 as well, and they say, I'd love to see more meditations for anxiety like this one. They were great. And then we have Rebecca Kennedy's 20-minute 90s hip cardio, and that was from April 21st at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And this comes from D-Cyclist87, and they say, just a joyful and fun yet challenging class that makes you smile as much as it does sweat. So that sounds like a nice one.
I like that. All right. Susie Chan's 15-minute Earth Day walk. And I threw that one in as a pick of the week from me, as well as Tunde Holmes. It was the Earth Day walk on the 21st, which was in fact Earth Day. It was just a 15-minute walk. Susie's playlist was great and encouraged me to get outside and enjoy the day. And I did that. I did it outside with my husband along the Miami Beach boardwalk. And it was amazing, absolutely amazing. And she spoke about how she loves being down at the ocean. And I took a little clip from there and posted it because it is my favorite place to walk. So it was really cool. And then Nico Serrani did a 10-minute Earth Day meditation. That was in German, and that one was recommended by Carrie. Good way to celebrate Earth Day is what they said.
And then we have Andy Spears' 30-minute tread boot camp from April 21st at 12 p.m. Eastern. This came in from Backstreet's Back, Darla 576. And they say, amazing playlist and energy. And we also have Hannah Corbin's 20-minute 90s ride from April 21st at 3 p.m. Eastern time. That came in from Bertha C. Runs MD. And they say, Cody gets all the attention for being funny, but honestly, Hannah is a riot and actually hilarious. The playlist had a tiny bit of everything, and it was just a super fun, feel-good ride.
Awesome. All right. We then had John Husking's 30-minute 2000s run. That was from the 22nd. E. Miller 26 and Esther Russell were both ones that had picked this one as their picks of the week. Just a fun playlist. And you know you're always having fun on the tread with John Husking. I mean, how can you not? How can you not? Next up, Fiona Mac 83, Call Me Maybe Peloton, both recommended Hannah Frankson's 60-minute hip hop ride. It was from the 22nd. And if I'm not mistaken, John Pruitt may have recommended this one too before he headed out of town. But they said a journey through 50 years of hip hop to current day. All right, you're up next.
Awesome. Then we have Tunde Oyeneyin's 30-minute 90s upper body strength from April 22nd at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. That comes in from The Real A. Johnson. And they say Tunde is killing it and us with her strength classes. Playlist was great and her programming is unmatched. And we also have Leanne Hainsby's 30-minute Broadway ride from April 23rd at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. That came in from Rehoda, Ali Spins Pelo, Flan Mac 83, and Carol is Thompson. This ride was so perfect, so full of joy and fun. Unique playlist with loads of energy.
Amazing. All right, Bex Gentry. 45-minute walk plus run from the 23rd, 3 p.m. Eastern. Peach Flambe, E. Miller 26, and Rachel Spins 24 all recommended this one. They said she had such a great vibe and had just run a half marathon that morning. There you have it. We have proof that she did both. All right. And then Ben Alldis's 20-minute total body strength. So this was from that new program we spoke about. It was from the 24th, and Loxton and Rosreich 712 both recommended it. They said Ben's new signature strength series, great full body workout in only 20 minutes. And then Katie Wong, she did a 45-minute 2000s boot camp. Bertha C. Runs MD, our big rower, recommended this one. And Annie said it was simultaneously super hard and flew by at the same time. 6 savage rounds. My triceps are still hurting from that day. 10 out of 10 recommend.
Awesome. And then we have Camila Ramon's 30-minute advanced beginner ride from April 25th at 7:20 a.m. Eastern. This comes in from Celestine. And they say if you're an advanced beginner looking for a running class that will leave you feeling confident and energized, I highly recommend Camila Ramon's advanced beginner run. Not only does Camila provide a fantastic workout with all the components needed to make you feel good about yourself, but her body positivity message throughout the class is truly inspiring. You'll finish the run feeling not only physically stronger, but also more confident and empowered. And to top it all off, the playlist is full of energizing tunes that will keep you motivated from start to finish. Trust me, this is one running class you won't want to miss. That's awesome. And then we have Dennis Morton's 10-minute arms and light weights from April 25th at 6:10 p.m. Eastern Time. And that comes in from E. Murphy 1700. And they say great music and moves in this class. Move, that's Dennis, so that makes sense. We also have Kira Michael, Kira Michelle?
Kira Michelle.
Kira Michelle, her 20-minute power slow flow from April 25th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. This comes in from Books, Spikes, and Beers. And they say sneaky, difficult, but great flow.
Awesome. All right, Ali Love. Ali Love has a 30-minute 80s ride from the 26th. This one came from Michelle. Oh gosh, I'm gonna botch this one up. Lemosny. I think it says that, Michelle Lemosny, Bite Off Brit, and Pick 'em Up. They all recommended it. Great music. And the playlist was co-curated by Tunde. And then the next one is mine, Maddie Majacomo's 30-minute pop walk from the 26th. I so hope they label this walk and talk, but this is Maddie's walk and talk. It is now at 9 a.m. on Wednesdays. The playlist was incredible, but Maddie took us through his experience at Coachella and explained to us the behind the scenes of what happens at a Coachella concert, which I thought was fantastic. And for someone that has never been to a music festival, it was wonderful to get to hear the do's and the don'ts and the goods and the bads. But he is so fun, and it really was a great way to get your body moving for 80 minutes. And he followed that up with a 15-minute 90s dance walk. And that one was also recommended by me. I had to throw that one in there. It was fantastic. My good friend, Robin Rushbaum, and Maddie's admin, Robin Ra, had recommended this one as her pick of the week as well. It was a dance party that gave up Mara vibes, and it was. He just rolled right into it. It was 2 back-to-backs on Wednesday morning, and they are not to be missed. And for someone that is only walking right now, he makes it so fun, and I feel like I am just totally part of everything, which is fantastic. So huge shout out to Maddie and those 2 workouts.
That's awesome. And then we have Tobias Hines' 30-minute hit run from April 26th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. This comes in from Fleetwood mom, Bertha C. runs MD, just those 2 people. And they say Coach T brought his A game. Excellent motivation, great beat drops, and a tough class not to be missed. This was a side of Coach T we usually don't see. He's usually high energy, but this was seriously another level. The structure was awesome. 30-second sprint, 30 seconds off, times 3, then 30-second run, 30-second sprint, 30 seconds off, times 3, then the same thing except 60 seconds, and he repeats that instruction many times in English. He asks for sprints at 9+ and is yelling in German so enthusiastically that you can't help but comply. It was awesome. That sounds like work to me.
Right, doesn't it just?
That sounds like work, but I love it.
I love it too. And and Annie is a huge advocate for Tobias. And she's definitely motivated me to want to work out with him. So I'm starting to see a little bit more. Yeah, I'm starting to see a little bit more subtitles. So hopefully we'll get to see more of that from the German instructors. But that's awesome. That's awesome.
That really is cool. And then we have Aditi Shah's 20-minute Yin Yoga on April 26th at 12:35 p.m. Eastern Time. And that came in from Amajar 3. And they say, was so great to see live Yin Yoga classes. I know you talked about that earlier. That's awesome.
I'm glad, yeah. And Amajar 3, thank you so much. You are always so lovely in giving us these recommendations. They really put, I'm not sure if it's a woman or a man, but they really put a ton of effort into sharing some of the great classes, and definitely different ones that we wouldn't typically, see as workouts. So that's awesome. All right, the next one is mine, as well as Gia Mamacita and Miller Family 20. Mariana Fernandez had her English yoga class. It was an intermediate level, 30-minute evening slow flow. And John, it was fantastic. I mean, I spoke about it a little bit, in the show. Just a great flow, good way to end an evening. And getting to do this with Mariana, she was very gracious and gave me a beautiful shout out, sharing me coming back onto the platform and getting to celebrate 200 yoga practices after my injury. So that was really cool. So, gracias, my friend. She is amazing. And then Kendall Toole, 20-minute Latin ride. That was also from the 26th. And that one came also from Celestine. They said, if you're looking for a high-energy cycling class with a Latin twist, I highly recommend Kendall's Latin Ride from 426. The class was an absolute blast with Coachella-inspired vibes and a great selection of Latin music that kept me pumped up and energized throughout the entire workout. Kendall even played dembo, a popular genre of Latin music, which was a real treat. I have no doubt that Camilla Roman, the Peloton queen of dembo, would have been proud. Overall, Kendall's Latin Ride was an amazing experience that I would definitely recommend to anyone who loves cycling and wants to add a little extra fun and flair to their workout routine. What a wonderful endorsement for that ride. Thank you so much, Celestine, for that. That's amazing.
Absolutely. And then the last one is my recommendation. It actually isn't a newer class. It's a class that a friend of mine, Kari Bazell, recommended to me last week. And so I took it. It's a Jocelyn Thompson Rule 30-minute R&B outdoor walk. Again, from November 4th of 2022 at 5 a.m. Eastern. And because I'm also doing a lot more walking these days than running, and which is the reason they recommended it to me. But the playlist I just kept me really going in this class. It was not only just R&B, but it was really soft kind of R&B stuff that I love. And also there an artist in there, Ralph Tresvant, lead singer of New Edition. When he went solo, one of his songs are in the playlist, which I absolutely love him as an artist. So it was an amazing class, and I'm slowly becoming a bigger and bigger Jocelyn Thompson Rule fan as well. So I love it.
Yeah, I mean, if I could have had if I could pick every one of my workouts and put them in picks of the weeks, I would, because I did do her 80 minutes. She had an 80-minute walk from this past week. It was hysterical. I was laughing. I did it after John's At the Club walk. I was laughing so hard at just her narration during the walk. She is just amazing. She is just amazing. So I'm glad you're finding her on the platform and working out with her, because she's wonderful. She's wonderful. All right, John. Well, that wraps it up. We actually got a lot in there. I didn't realize there was so much. But I am glad that we were able to put it all out there. And I won't say much more other than, as always, folks, thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time to listen to what we have to share with you guys. Hopefully it is stuff you weren't aware of or stuff that we educated you on. It is such an honor and a pleasure to do this side by side with you, John Mills. So thank you so much. I know you have a busy schedule, and we are very humbled that you take the time to share a little bit of it with us and get to do this every now and again. So thank you. Thank you for doing that.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you so much for asking. It's always a pleasure to host with you, Amanda. It's a joy. So thank you so much.
I know I'm much more fun than John, but we won't tell him that. So I mean, you know. We won't tell him. No, you're a treat. You're a treat to do this with, and your knowledge is amazing. So thank you so much for being available. So yeah, folks. So from me down here in Miami for this week, bye for now, everybody, and see you on the leaderboard.
Bye.
Thank you for watching Pelo Buddy TV, your source for everything Peloton, by the community, for the community. Work out with us using the Pelo Buddy TV leaderboard tag, and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Pelo Buddy. Don't forget that we have a podcast available so that you can listen to us while on the move. Just search for Pelo Buddy TV on any major platform and hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.